Hi, this is the second video for chapter 10, the S-block elements of class 11th NCERT chemistry book. Today we will discuss the physical properties of S-block elements. Starting with the electronic configuration, the electronic configuration of an element describes how electrons are distributed in its atomic orbitals. In group 1 of the S-block elements, the valence orbital has only one electron, which it loses to become singly charged ions or cations. For example, sodium loses one electron to become singly charged sodium ions. Whereas group 2 elements have not very loosely bound two electrons in its valence orbital, they lose them to become doubly charged ions. For example, magnesium loses two of its outer electrons one by one to become doubly charged magnesium ion. Group 1 elements are among the most electropositive elements in the periodic table. Group 2 elements are also highly electropositive elements. All the S-block elements, they are never found in free state due to their very high reactivity. They react readily with other elements to form various compounds. Group 1 metals mostly form ionic compounds, whereas in group 2, except beryllium, all metals predominantly form ionic compounds. We have discussed how S-block elements behave due to their electronic configuration. Now let us discuss how electrons are actually filled into their orbitals. Electrons are filled into the atomic orbitals according to the modern form of Aufbau principle, which states that electrons are filled in the order of their increasing orbital energy, which is estimated by the sum of principal quantum number and azimuthal quantum number, that is n plus l. When two orbitals have the same n plus l, they are filled in the increasing order of principal quantum number, that is n. So, according to the above rule, 1s orbital gets filled first, then 2s, then 2p, and then 3s, and then 3p, and then 4s, not 3d orbitals. Remember that when Aufbau gave this principle, orbitals were not very well explained, and according to him, electrons were filled in the increasing order of principal quantum number. His original principle holds true only up to atomic number 18. It was further investigated and explained by Charles Jeannette in 1929, Erwin Madelung in 1936, and V.M. Klekowski in 1957. Therefore, sometimes this principle is also known as Jeannette rule or Madelung rule or Klekowski rule. But since Aufbau was the first to explain this, it is generally referred to as the modern form of Aufbau principle. After 4s orbital, electrons are filled into 3d, then 4p, then 5s, and then 4d, 5p, 6s, and so on. The entire sequence of filling of electrons can be written as Now that we know the exact sequence of filling of atomic orbitals, it is much easier to write the electronic configuration of all elements. Lithium has 3 electrons since its atomic number is 3. So it is filled as 2 electrons in the 1s orbital and 1 electron in the 2s orbital. Beryllium has 4 electrons, so 2 electrons go in the 1s orbital and 2 electrons in the 2s orbital. Similarly, we can write the electronic configuration of all elements. I request you to pause this video and try writing the electronic configuration of all the S block elements. I hope you are done writing the electronic configuration. Please match your answers with the one given here. When we write the electronic configuration of all the elements, we see that all elements in group 1 have singly occupied valence s orbital, whereas in group 2 elements have doubly occupied valence s orbital. Next is atomic radii, which give us an idea about the relative size of atom. Atomic radii of elements increases down the group, whereas it decreases across the period as we move from left to right. If we talk about the ionic sizes, it follows the similar trend. It increases down the group and decreases across the period. It can be noted that alkali metals are some of the largest atoms in the periodic table. Size of cations is always smaller than the parent atom. Atomic or ionic size decreases across the period due to increasing electrostatic force of attraction as the number of electrons and protons increases across a period. Therefore, group 2 elements are somewhat smaller than group 1 elements, whereas the same increases when we move down the group due to increasing number of orbitals. Next physical property of the S block elements is the ionization enthalpy. It is defined as the minimum amount of energy required to remove the most loosely bound electron, that is the valence electron of an isolated gaseous atom, molecule or ion. It is quantitatively expressed as the given equation. In this animation, you can see that when gamma ray strikes one of the valence electron, it itself gets scattered while the electron gets knocked out. Here, the energy of gamma ray is important as different element requires different amount of energy to remove the valence electron. It is due to the different amount of electrostatic forces of attraction between the nucleus and the valence electron that has to be overcome. So we see in the table alongside that ionization energy decreases down the group as the size of atoms increases more than the nuclear charge, because effective screening of nuclear charge by the inner electrons increases. The ionization energy increases across the period due to decreasing size of atoms and increasing forces of attraction between the nucleus and the outer electrons. It is interesting to note that the first ionization enthalpy of group 2 metals is higher than the group 1 metals due to its smaller size. But if we talk about the second ionization enthalpy, it gets reversed. That is, the second ionization enthalpy of group 1 metals is higher than that of group 2 metals, and it is not because of its size but due to its electronic configuration. After losing one electron, group 1 elements achieve noble gas electronic configuration in which the valence shell is completely filled. This gives enormous stability to the singly ionized alkali metals. To overcome this stability and become doubly ionized ions, huge amount of energy is required. Lattice enthalpy is important for solids, and it is defined as the amount of energy released when 1 mole of ions are brought together to form lattices or crystal structure. Lattice enthalpies may be sometimes confusing because sometimes they are written as positive values while other times they may be written as negative values. The difference arises because of the way we define it. Lattice enthalpy is a type of potential energy that may be defined in two ways. In one definition, the lattice energy is the energy required to break apart an ionic solid and convert its component atoms into gaseous ion. This definition causes the value for the lattice energy to be positive, since this will always be an endothermic reaction. We can call it lattice dissociation enthalpy. The other definition says that lattice energy is the reverse process, meaning it is the energy released when gaseous ions bind to form an ionic solid. As implied in the definition, this process will always be exothermic, and thus the value for lattice energy will be negative. We can call it lattice formation enthalpy. It should be noted that lattice enthalpy decreases down the groove. It is because of the decreasing electrostatic forces due to increasing sizes. Next very important property of S block elements is the hydration enthalpy. The hydration enthalpy is defined as the amount of energy released when 1 mole of ions undergo hydration. Hydrogen is a special case of solvation where the solvent is water. Upon dissolving a salt in water, the cations and anions interact with the positive and negative dipoles of the water. The trade-off of these interactions versus those within the crystalline solid comprises the hydration energy. If the hydration enthalpy is greater than the lattice enthalpy, then the enthalpy of solution is negative, that is, heat is released, and otherwise it is positive or the heat is absorbed. The hydration enthalpy should not be confused with solvation energy, which is the change in Gibbs free energy as a solute in the gaseous state is dissolved. Neither it should be confused with the enthalpy of solution, which is the energy released when 1 mole of solute is dissolved in a solvent. Let us take an example of sodium chloride to understand better. If we plot the energy level diagram of the three species of sodium chloride, that is, hydrated or aqueous form of sodium chloride, the ionic or solid form of sodium chloride, and the ionized gaseous form of sodium chloride, we see that sodium chloride in the hydrated form has the lowest energy. Then comes the ionic solid form, which has higher energy, and then the ionic gaseous form, which has the highest energy. The energy difference between the ionic solid form and ionic gaseous form of sodium chloride is called the lattice enthalpy. Here the lattice enthalpy of sodium chloride is 778 kJ per mole. The energy difference between the hydrated form and ionic solid form of sodium chloride is called the enthalpy of solution, which is 4 kJ per mole in this case. And finally, the energy difference between the ionic gaseous and hydrated form of sodium chloride is called the hydration enthalpy. The enthalpy of solution is defined as the sum of lattice enthalpy and the hydration enthalpy. In other terms, hydration enthalpy is defined as the difference between the lattice enthalpy and the enthalpy of solution, which in this case is minus 774 kJ per mole. Whether an enthalpy of solution turns out to be negative or positive depends on the relative amount of the lattice enthalpy and the hydration enthalpy. When the hydration enthalpy does not completely overcome the lattice enthalpy, the remainder energy can be obtained from the solvent in order to compensate the energy loss and as a result cool the solvent. Let us take another example of calcium chloride. Calcium dissolves in water to give aqueous calcium and chloride ions. The intermediate stage in this reaction is the formation of gaseous calcium and chloride ions. The energy involved to transform the ionic solid calcium chloride to gaseous ions is called lattice enthalpy. The energy involved to transform the gaseous ions to aqueous ions is called the hydration enthalpy. And the sum of the lattice enthalpy and the hydration enthalpy is called the enthalpy of solution. In this case, the lattice enthalpy of calcium chloride is plus 2258 kJ per mole. The hydration enthalpy of calcium ions is minus 1650 kJ per mole. The hydration enthalpy of chloride ion is minus 364 kJ per mole. Since chloride has two chloride ions, we multiply the hydration enthalpy of chloride by 2. The enthalpy of solution of calcium chloride is given as the following equation, which on addition comes out to be minus 120 kJ per mole. The negative sign emphasizes that the reaction is exothermic. When anhydrous calcium chloride is dissolved in water, it raises the temperature of water because of large hydration enthalpy. But when calcium chloride hexahydrate is dissolved in water, it lowers the temperature. The reaction is endothermic due to insufficient hydration enthalpy to overcome the lattice enthalpy. Therefore, energy is taken up from the water molecules. Let us now discuss the trends in hydration enthalpies of cations of S block elements. Hydration enthalpy decreases down the group as the size of cation increases. It is due to decreasing dipole ion interactions due to effective shielding of ionic charges by the inner orbital electrons. Hydration enthalpy increases across the period as the size of cations decrease. It is due to increasing dipole ion interactions. It can be noted that among the halides of S block elements, only lithium halide from group 1 form hydrates because the hydration enthalpy of other alkali metals are much lower. Whereas in group 2, only beryllium halide does not form hydrates, while all metals form hydrates due to very high hydration enthalpies. Beryllium halide forms more stable polymer chain structures which resist hydrate formation. Before we move on to the next section, let us solve a short example to ensure that you have understood hydration enthalpy. The enthalpy of crystallization of potassium chloride is minus 715 kJ per mole. The enthalpies of hydration for potassium and chloride ions are minus 322 kJ per mole and minus 363 kJ per mole respectively. From these values, estimate the enthalpy of solution for potassium chloride. Please pause this video for a while and solve this question. I hope you solved the problem, and the enthalpy of solution of potassium chloride is 30 kJ per mole. Since the value is positive, it is an endothermic reaction. The temperature of the solution will slightly decrease due to this. You must have read about different types of bonding in chemistry, like the ionic bonding, covalent bonding, and the coordinate bonding, which arises either due to transfer or sharing of electrons. But have you ever thought what causes atoms of metals to cling together, and that too so tightly? The answer is metallic bonding. It arises from the electrostatic force of attraction between the conduction electrons in the form of electron cloud of delocalized electrons and positively charged metal ions. This metallic bonding accounts for the strength, ductility, thermal and electrical resistivity and conductivity, higher melting and boiling point, opacity and luster of metals. If you see in this picture, the valence electron in metals are no longer confined to the valence orbitals. They disperse and form some sort of electron cloud. They are continuously in random motion in all possible directions. This animation has been slowed down for better visuals, but the actual motion is much faster. And when an electrical potential difference is applied across the two streams, they streamline themselves and move from lower potential to higher potential, from one atom to another. When a metallic object is hammered, it is this metallic bonding that keeps them intact. Some important points to be noted here is that metallic bonding lacks directionality due to the localization of electrons. A strength of metallic bond is a function of number of electrons in the valence shell, and it also depends on the size of atoms and electronic configuration. It decreases down the group due to shielding of effective nuclear charge by the inner orbital electrons. To understand better, let us take an example of gallium. Gallium can melt in your hand just above the room temperature. But still, liquid gallium is non-volatile due to metallic bonding. Whereas, if you take example of zinc, cadmium and mercury, they are relatively volatile. It is due to their electronic configuration, which resembles a noble gas. All their electrons are paired, and therefore delocalization of electrons is less. You know that density is defined as mass divided by volume. As we move down the group, the density of elements increases. It is because atomic mass as well as atomic volume, which can be estimated by atomic radius, both increases down the group, but atomic mass increases much faster than the atomic volume. As we move across the period, then also density increases. It is because atomic radius and hence the atomic volume decreases, and also mass increases as we move from left to right. Hardness is defined as the resistance to deformation. As we move down the group, hardness of metal decreases. It is due to the decreasing metallic bonding. Because of this, melting and boiling point of metals also decreases down the group. And as we move across the period, the hardness of metals increases, and so is their melting and boiling point. The last property that we are going to discuss today is the characteristic color of S-block elements. Characteristic color is an intrinsic property of an element which can be used to identify as well as quantify them. Most of the S-block metals show characteristic color, like lithium gives crimson red color in an oxidizing flame at a peak wavelength of 670.8 nanometer. Sodium gives yellow color at a wavelength of 589.2 nanometer. Potassium gives violet color at a wavelength of 766.5 nanometer. Rubidium gives red-violet color at a wavelength of 780 nanometer. Cesium gives blue-violet color at a wavelength of 455.5 nanometer. Calcium gives brick red color at a wavelength of 597 nanometer. Strontium gives crimson red color at a wavelength of 623 nanometer. And barium gives apple green color at a wavelength of 522 nanometer. Beryllium and magnesium does not give any characteristic color but burns with a brilliant white flame. It is so because their electrons are too strongly bound to get excited by flame. Let us now try to understand how these elements exhibit color. When atoms in the ground state are supplied with sufficient amount of energy, either in the form of heat or light or any other form of energy, they get excited and jump from the lower ground state orbital to higher energy orbital. But this excited state is extremely unstable, so they instantaneously lose their energy in the form of light to come back to the stable ground state. For each element, the amount of energy required to excite the valence electron is different, and hence the color or wavelength of the emitted radiation is different. It should be noted that due to the characteristic color, flame test is used to detect the presence of elements. Flame photometry or atomic absorption spectroscopy can be used to quantify most of the metals. Apart from color, there are many other characteristic properties of elements that can be used for their qualitative and quantitative analysis, like electrical and thermal conductivity, standard reduction potential of elements, and many other properties. We will discuss about the standard reduction potential in more detail in our next lecture. In this lecture, we have discussed the physical properties of S-block elements from the NCERT book. Section 10.1.1 to section 10.1.5 for group 1 elements was covered, and section 10.6.1 to section 10.6.5 for group 2 elements was covered. We will start with the chemical properties of S-block elements in our next lecture. Thank you for watching.